Thank you so very much. I appreciate what is being said. Today we're going to try a little bit of something different. We're going to go from the book of notes that were written on the board by noble Adept Cheikh. And one thing I want to give credit to, I want to give credit to Brother Amin. I read that lesson that you gave on Amun Ra, and I was impressed by what you had in that lesson that you gave on Amun Ra, and you have a hell of a way of expressing yourself. And so much so that I'm going to give that lesson to another friend of mine who thought he had some ideas about who Amin was. And that's a good explanation to him, to give him an explanation as to who Amun Ra is. He was of the impression that Amun was just another Egyptian god. Amun was more than that. And the one that you gave, that lesson that you gave with that brochure that you made up, I still have copies of it. I never throw anything away. I never throw anything away. I read whatever I have. So with that in mind, we will open our lessons in memory of our Rasul, who, without his message, none of this would be possible. And I also give credit to his best student, Cheikh Wabra Semahi, because without him remembering a lot of the things that was said and putting them into words, we would not have the information that we have today. We have a treasure trove of information and a treasure trove of people who are involved in this movement. I also want to make mention of the fact that we brought up the idea about naming the city of St. Louis the city of Amun. I wanted to bring that point out. I wanted to make known that this was a thought that had been given to us and shared by us. And we need to expound on it. It may seem crazy now. It may seem stupid now. But all kinds of things are happening now. They had a woman on television this morning who was someone else who proclaimed that she was not going to give her seat up on the bus other than Rosa Parks.
Yes.
No one ever knew about this woman before. Rosa Parks got the credit, but this woman also was one who refused to give her seat on the bus. And they put her on continual, what do you call it, probation. She's been on continual probation for more than 30 or 40 years. Her name, I don't even know exactly what her name was. This idea that we proposed was giving credit not only to the God or the memory of the God of Amun, it was also giving credit to our Rasul, peace be upon him, for the accomplishments that he had accomplished in his lifetime that people have seemed to gloss over and completely forget about it. Some of the things that were made mention, I wanted to bring these to light, to say the greatest highlights, or one of the highlights was the first Muslim sheikh ever ordained on American soil was one of the titles that he had. He was a clairvoyant. He was a military man. All of these things are things done to him to give you thoughts that the consideration of changing the name of the city of St. Louis is not something that's done randomly. This man and the credit that he has given to humanity and mankind has been completely overlooked. And it is left up to us and the rest of the world to see his light, to see exactly what he did. So with that said, I want all the brothers and sisters to concentrate on that idea and put this idea into perspective. And let's add on to this idea. Right now it may seem foolish. It may seem unheard of. But did we ever think that one day they were going to tear these statues down of all of these Confederate soldiers? Did we ever think that? Did we ever know that one day that they were going to tear that wall down in Berlin, a wall that had been up there for 25 or 30 years? So things are always on the change. This city needs a new name. This city needs a new identity. And the identity that we said would be beneficial was the city of Amen, the city of truth. We've had the name, the city, the most murder capital of the USA. That's a hell of a title to have for a city that you live in. And let's face it, no one wants to come from anything that is negative. Even the people over in East St. Louis will argue with you about East St. Louis. Don't talk about East St. Louis. They will stand up for East St. Louis. It was the same way about the people who lived out in Festus, or the people who lived out in Wellston or any of these other areas. No one wants to be from some place that is negative or something where people talk about it. We're asking you to consider these things, and we're going to continue with these snippets, trying to tell you to keep this on your mind sight, that there is a possibility that it can be a truth, that this city can be named the city of Amen, because it is named in remembrance of a great man whose message has been completely overlooked. Today we're going to deal with people of the book. People of the book. We were very fortunate to have a teacher whose goal was to make sure that every time that we came into our Netto Church, that we would receive a new message, or we would receive information that the trip or the coming to the school was not just a waste of time. So he wrote on the board in our classroom certain phrases that I and other people who were present had the ability to write these things down. So some of the things will skip around as far as context is concerned. Some of it will be related, some of it will not be related. Brother teacher, I don't know whether you'll be able to pick up some of these pictures. Can you pick up a picture on your camera of this particular drawing? Very good. Very good. So I speak with this drawing in mind. We we spoke about one day having the spiritual eye, being able to understand what is being said by way of the spiritual eye. We say that our sisters here have a spiritual eye. Cheikh wrote something years ago relating exactly to that. He gave this diagram, and it says, a man has two eyes. Think about it. But a woman has four eyes. Two physical and two spiritual eyes. These eyes she uses and gets power from the moon, because the moon rules one's intellect and its way of seeing. It changes with the different modes of the moon. These ways of seeing, different from a man, are born in two women. These eyes, listen, set man or men in motion. Or when used, man sets himself in motion. You wonder why you love your woman. You wonder why you love your woman. You wonder why you and your woman are one. You wonder why someone would come along and try to drive a wedge in between you and your woman. And I go back to the lesson that was posted. The brother posted this lesson where it gave a definition of the two terms. One was the definition of Allah, and the other definition was the one on Amen. So we'll deal with the first one, the word Allah. And it was said that this particular term was in reference to a female deity. Allah was a female deity. Could be. We say in response to this that God does not, the God, the Creator, does not have an agenda. God, the Creator, is not a male or a female. But God, the Creator, is both male and female. Therefore, there is no separation. This is then linked with the same idea about the two and the four eyes, and the same way about the word Amen. In reality, there were three Amens mentioned. One, A-M-E-N, A-M-O-N, A-M-U-N. Each one of these Amens is different, but yet still they're the same. Which one are you using? The symbolicness was Amen with the eye open, the all-seeing eye. Then you had the Amen who was invisible. When is that Amen invisible? That Amen is invisible when we can't see the sun. Brother put it in his, he put it in that note that he wrote. I read it. Having spiritual eye means to be able to see things that are not seen, or things that are not present, or presently seen by everyone. And people used to have a word for it. You used to call it having a veil over your eyes, a veil. And that veil was to be able to understand and see things that other people did not see. And to a certain extent, in some cases, our parents or people around us talked about it or talked down on it and did not encourage you to go and pursue this and make this a reality. We are taught we need to make every folklore into a science. and make it a reality. We are taught to exercise and bring forth that third eye, that spiritual eye, to be able to see a thing, to describe it, and then turn around and describe it. April 28th, 1981. Public cooperation is needed to build a school of pride. These are things, as I said, that were written on the board. Public cooperation is needed to build a school of pride. Is that not true? True. Your God is no stronger than your will. Since the gods are to serve man, then he is no stronger than the people he serves. You have two senses. You have a Hamite concept and you have a Christian concept. And let's visualize it as being something like a cross. And we know that that cross has been misrepresented over a period of time. It has many meanings. The cross, the four corners of the earth, north, south, east, west, and other meanings. This cross that we are talking about means you are on a cross of thought. Nature is what is natural. The symbol of a man is upright. We find that that symbol of the cross is also a symbol of man being upright. Being upright. And they put a man on that cross symbolically. Something done symbolically. We get information back and we're giving it a new meaning. Man's perfection. If the mind is the cosmos, then man is the creator of himself. So the ethereal or cosmic mind is man's own mind. God thought man, and man thought it also. For this reason, man is God. The word gate means death, while the word day means die. All of it is balanced by time. What is time? Since everything is timed by the clock of God, which is the motion of the heavenly bodies, the seven major planets, or ruling stars, so to speak, the word heaven means to pile up. When people say the word heaven to us means to pile up something, to pile something up. Allah is not God. Allah is not the God of the black people, but the Arab Amun-Ra is the God of the black race. Salam. Solomon had many wives. We sing of the Songs of Solomon. He wrote this snippet on the board. As I said, these were things that he put on the board each day we came over there. That was something on the board for us to think about, for us to consider. Solomon had many wives and concubines, yet he was hung for his misconduct. God is the truth that guides to the strength or right path. A lie is that part of God that we do not understand. Right is when we are successful. The right path is that which increases a race's security. The Fahami taught that all of the races are time-begotten sons and daughters of God. The universe, or heaven, is also included in that. What is time? We ask that question again. Time. Time means forever or everlasting in action. To love somebody means to respect them. Pride of race means race consciousness. That black Marine who was killed in New Orleans, and we remember him, we saw him on television. He was that black Marine who saw fit to arm himself and fight back down in New Orleans. As I said, this was written back in 1981. That black Marine who was killed in New Orleans was because he understood that Christianity was destructive to our people. He killed 9 cops. A white one was placed upon a helicopter to kill this black Marine, and nothing has ever been said of him or seen of him since. They say God put a curse on Cain, the Canaanite tribe. Who is bringing that curse? If Cain was cursed, who was it that put the curse on Cain? Another lie that they led us to believe. That we were cursed. We were cursed as a people because what? We looked upon the nakedness of our father. That was a lie they told. We were cursed forever. We were cursed that we were going to never be able to accomplish anything and always be slaves and bootblacks and servants to these people. So it sounds like the person who put that curse on you may have been one of these people of the pink color. The prophet explained in 1941 that when Hitler finished with the Jews, the Negroes are next in line. The black race is not a nation, but an international race. Think about it. They're an international race. We'll tell you what that means. It means an international race. For you are the first and oldest on earth. They will have to start counting from the torrid zone that belts the earth. Salam. It only takes 2 people to run a city. The chief of police and the president. It takes only 4 people to run the world. And that is how you rule the world 50,000 years with that method. The Rasul said in 1941, when Hitler gets rid of the Jews, the Negro is next. Amen, A-M-O-N, the lawgiver to all nations around the torrid zone that belts the earth, the A-M-O-N. May 21st, 1981. Sense is not what we think, but what we know and understand. That sense. To have good sense is not what we think, but what we know and what we understand. Cheikh said today, there is only 4 things that run this world. They are feelings, desires, appearances, and reality. May 1981. The European people of America is the laborers. The Negroes are only their servants and bootblackers who are serving all Europeans. This is not our Labor Day, but the Christians' Labor Day. For they built all the cities and towns with slave labor. They never enslaved the American Indians. so-called, but use black slaves to fill their desires. The American Indian is none other than the Arbans out of northern Japan. You wonder where he came from. Cancer means subject to lung trouble. The bull means control of self. Sebura means patience and resourcefulness. Time, dimension, and space are at the present too short for the presence of things that exist at the presence. We must spread our beings for the future of what is next to come. Since time, dimension, and space needs a new interpretation, why not some of you try solving the mysteries and becoming a millionaire? We cannot increase our knowledge at the present of time, dimension, and space. June the 2nd, 1981. Julius Caesar of Rome. July the 4th is when France sold New Orleans to 13 colonies and gave their slaves free of charge. These slaves, these black slaves, spoke French because they were owned by France. The 13 colonies, in turn, had trouble because of the French-speaking black slaves could not speak Amharic. At the end of 246 years, these slaves were given freedom by Douglas and Abraham Lincoln. July the 4th is this country's independence from France. August the 8th, 1862, 1865 is the Black Slaves' Independence Day. August the 8th, 1862, 1865, June the 9th, 1981. The ancient Hamites were men of fame. Learn to speak of them in Allah's name, who is Amun, A-M-O-N, the Rahman of Islam. The superficial woman is one of growth in a man's life as well as some others. Every woman that lives as of now is a sacrificial goddess. Your oldest priestess has shown that you have let down a great, or you have given up a great chance for lifting up a race. June 10th, 1981. The word pyramid means to spread our knowledge to the people. The power of Sufi means to read the crystal of life. This ball was to him the universe. Let not your left thought deceive your right thought. Your brain is made up of 144 ways to think. Sheesh. June the 15th, 1981. 85% of all Negroes all over the country is today begging their daily bread. People once in time of your ruling over the race furnished all mankind and womankind all that was needed for more than 50,000 years. Where is their God? Merhati, the fairy of the destiny, was the inventor of dolls and made them to be given to all girl children for developing motherhood and caring for their young, and they were taught how to make clothes before they were in motherhood. The mankind was taught from toys, wagons, cots, and little chariots how to run foundries and manufacture everything needed for farming to provide all the need that life provided for the race. We've gotten away from those original ideas. And the original idea, everything was made for man's benefit. Man was given dominion over everything. He was given dominion over the fish and the fowl and the air and the things of the air. And what has happened? Man has taken those ideas and abused them. But we were given everything that we need to survive by the Creator. Mark the perfect man. We use that terminology in our prayers. Mark the perfect man. Who is that perfect man? We say, mark the perfect man. And what? Behold. That is, look. Behold. Mark the perfect man and behold the upright. Being upright is being in an upright position. Mark the perfect man and behold the upright. For what? The end of that man is what?
Peace.
Is peace. Mark the perfect man and behold the upright. For the end of that man is peace. The first to inhabit the earth was called gods, and their language was called the tongue of the gods. There was no other people until your ancestors colonized their own subjects into colonized groups, sent around the torrid zone that belts the earth, speaking one of the 350 different dialects. Climate and the different changes in speech brought on the 72 different ways of speaking the language of the gods. This is history that we are introducing you to. A lady asked, what do I do? And I explained to her, I teach back to people what they have forgotten. She looked at me. I guess it must have dawned on her, or the thought had never occurred to her. I teach back to people what they have forgotten. Me and my garden. Let us hope. For Adam means red sun, while Eve means red moon. Any woman who has breathed and given birth to children and raised them, she has been to college. Well, well, well. An old-time college teaches information to the present students that they might be aware. All of the real teachers has been removed from the race, replaced with servants and bootblackers. The great real use of women is to build a great nation. The woman and the man are one and the same. The black race. The black race. Oh, you sleeping giants. Woe betide him who awakens you. You have slept for more than 2,000 years. It is time you turning over, Mr. Black Man, and reclaiming what is yours, Salam. Teach our people to exercise their minds and souls instead of their efforts bodily to be seen of men around the world. We go to great lengths to show what we look like, how we dress, how we are being seen by man. Is that vanity? Is that a part of vanity? to try to be seen of men, to try to impress people by, why not impress them with your mentality? How long will the simple rejoice in their simplicity? How long will the fool hate knowledge? July the 20th, 1981. Reason means considering the action. To consider means to understand destiny. Destiny means to know. Paul and Johnson ended up in the equatorial, sitting on a piece of stone and complaining of how he failed to lead people. I hope not to leave the race in any worse shape. Cheikh, Wabra, Semahi. Salam. August the 8th, 1981. Negroes Independence Day. We repeat. 1863, 1865. Freedom from slavery. There were two friends who set up a Methodist society in England. When they fell out about the society, Charles Wesley turned his part of the society into a Methodist church, while John Baptist called his part of the society the Baptist Church. This brought a wide margin between the two churches today, as of now, so to speak, Charles Wesley and John Baptist. You wonder where the two phrases come from. The Baptist Church and the Methodist Church came from these two people. August the 18th, 1981. Make fun if you want to. Make fun if you want to build your women, and we will increase our power over again. What is known today as America comes to us from Omarica, the Chaldean of Isha, who was the ruler. Her temple stands today 50 miles above the Kenite colony of Asia. She was a smart vampire. She was a smart vampire of her time. The streets of this country and others are filled with vampires of her science in understanding, controlling the masses of now. Your women has the power to control all nations. As Asia and her spiritual government, they are tearing down the witchery which we should have control through our women. She. The black women has been used for over 500 years on this continent. October 19th, 1981. Starvation of this day is due to the European living up to the black man's ancestral traditions, ways of living, and giving the black people a small portion of what is his already. Cheikh said today, October the 20th, 1981. This is something like a, what do you call it? When people write in their ledgers?
A journal or autobiography?
That's what this is something like, a journal. That's why the days are different. That's why I'm giving you the days that are different. October 20th, 1981. Cheikh said today, compare yourself with what the Rasul, peace be upon him, taught to do with Fahmy. After he introduced Fahmy to the public, then there was these who tried to tell him how it must be run. Fahmy, F-A-H-A-M-E, is feminine. F-A-H-A-M-M-E is masculine. Did you know that? October 21st, 1981. On this day, I had my first experience with a force that I could not explain. This is me talking now. I came to the temple and I thought I heard Cheikh upstairs. I heard him moving around upstairs. I heard him talking to himself. He said, Lord, Lord, Lord. I heard this. I heard it loud. I heard him speaking. He had something written on the board, like what I'm giving you right now was written on the board. So I didn't pay any attention about going up there to see what Cheikh was talking about or whether he was in the building or not. I wrote down what he had on the board there. And I said, I would copy this off the board and go upstairs to see what it was he was doing. I heard him clear. I went upstairs and found no Cheikh. I thought he had hid himself. I could not find him nowhere in the building. I was surprised not to find him here because I heard him in this building. Later, I went to his house. I went to the house he was living in, and there was Cheikh, still asleep. He was still asleep at his house. And he had not been out of bed that morning. I awoke him and told him what had happened in the building. He told me, yes. He said, yes. He said, I was there. I was there in spirit. And I was there looking for something. And I came in and heard with my spiritual sense his moving. I was very much relieved to learn that what I heard was not my imagination. Mm-hmm. People speak about things that they've seen and heard, and spirits and things that go bump in the night. I experienced this. I heard this man clear, moving around. I wasn't in a hurry to go in and investigate exactly to find out what he was doing at that time. I was more interested in copying what he had on the board, only to find out he was not there. And some of you have had these same experiences in your life, in some kind of way, a spiritual awakening, so to speak. October 21st, 1981. Wisdom in Islam is great when a people learn to use it. Islam is not operated on what one thinks of Islam, but what one knows of it. If we are smart people, what does the word mean? The word world, man. That goes for black and whites alike. The Scorpio nature is to tear down the truth of God and man alike. Every man born is a Scorpio because of the nature is to prove their point of view. Scorpio represents the nature of man in general and no woman. Tutankhamun was the last to try to revive the government and civilization. He was scorned by the public, and we are still at the bottom of things. Yes, because we need a new cow jumping over the moon, which means new things to come to pass in our lives out of the dead earth. Nations all over the 4 parts of the earth are living at the expense of our noble forefathers. Have a happy sports event. Thanks to you. This was in response to a karate class that I had in our building years ago. And Cheikh said that there was a name for that karate. And he named it Karatayis, the key of life. Karatayis, the key of life. And he said we need organizations, we need groups like that to build a nation in our defense. So he said, have a happy sporting event. He called it a sporting event. Thanks to you, the Christian Bible teaches you how long will you simple ones rejoice in your simplicity. And how long will you rejoice in your slander and fools hate knowledge? Hog is the cause of cancer. And that is why you cannot poison a hog, because his blood is poisoned already. A witch doctor is guided through a spirit who controls his very understanding naturally. November the 4th, 1981. The Black Racist Friday. The Jews' so-called day is Saturday. And the Christian day is the first day of the week, the sun's day. We are naming 7 gods for a week. The word week is of Poland. The word Christian means clear, as a color, when clear has no color. With that, I hope that you enjoy what I have to offer to you. Maybe in times to come, I can give to you also some more of the things and some more of the pictures that are in this book, the drawings that were made with reference to understanding who we are. I have 3 books of references here, and I hope to share them with you. Peace be with you, my gods and goddesses, and thank you for listening to me.
Peace.